Well, from Cape Town to Tshwane now, where Mayor Msimanga is promising to build 40 RDP houses with money raised from selling the city's multi-million rand mayoral mansion. Speaking at his second State of the Capital address earlier today, Msimanga kicked by paying tribute to struggle icon Mama Winnie Mandela. He praised her as a woman of courage who taught the black child that anything is possible. For more on this, I'm joined by Mayor Msimanga from our Pretoria Bureau. Good evening, Mayor. Thanks very much for joining us. And if you please allow me to start with that very last point that I mentioned, that as you were paying tribute to Mama Winnie Mandela, one of your comrades is actually in hot water for attending a memorial service dedicated to Winnie Mandela. I know you entered the fray at the weekend when your party was holding elections. As a leader in your own right, what do you make of what happened over the past 24 hours?
Well, Vuyo, I think quite a number of things that are happening that are a little bit confusing. I mean, yesterday we did have the leader of the province attending a memorial service that was there, and to hear today again that you know, another leader or another public representative of the DA is now in hot waters over, you know, attending a memorial service. While we have all, you know, across party lines been paying tribute, I think it's something that the party needs to now reassess how it's dealing with matters, especially matters of discipline, and ensure that going forward we are consistent in how we deal with matters of discipline, and we are very decisive in the communication that we do put out there. And I think I don't want to speak much more about the issue until we do hear, you know, what are the issues that the party is advancing or the leadership is advancing around this issue.
Okay, let's go to then your State of the City address. You're planning to build 40 RDP homes from the proceeds of that mayoral mansion sale, but 40 is of course a drop in the ocean. The question, I guess, is what you intend doing next or in the main to build houses in the city.
Well, Vuyo, I thank you very much for that. I think there's a distinct difference in which we need to look at this ad. One is that we're talking about selling of a mayoral mansion which was supposed to benefit a family, and we are building a minimum of 40 houses. And bigger than RDP houses, by the way, we're using alternative building methodologies and construction means to build these 40 houses. Your normal RDP house is a 40 square meter house. This one is going to be a 50 square meter house, which is relatively bigger than your normal RDP house. We are also going to be creating job opportunities in the construction phase of those particular houses. But here's the most important thing for you. We are seeing this as the first opportunity in which people who are benefiting out of a housing subsidy or a housing initiative by government, where you'll have an Indian family living to an Afrikaans family living next to a black family living next to a colored family living next to a white person's family. So we're really looking at this in a lot of ways in which we are trying to also send a message that we want to do things differently in our city. We want to be at the forefront of ensuring that we really embrace newer technologies of building houses, and we can put this in action. But more importantly, we are also you know, ensuring that social cohesion becomes, you know, the order of the day. But you're raising an important question for you about you know, it being a drop in the ocean, and I do agree that it's a drop in the ocean, but the little that we can do each and every day goes a long way in ensuring that our people get the dignity that they deserve, and instead of being left in the peripheries of everything that is seen as development going forward. And therefore I think we need to do every little thing that we can do, and we're doing this, and we're hoping that we'll do this and showcase to the provincial government what is possible if we really put money and resources you know, into these kind of initiatives where corruption corruption is not the order of the day, where we are looking at criteria in terms of who does qualify for these houses, and ensuring that those that do qualify, ensuring that we are able to look across the spectrum and say, how do we also use this to bring social cohesion in the communities that we're trying to build.
Now, you spent a considerable amount of time during your speech to the issue of cable theft, right, which has cost the city dearly in terms of outages, but also, I mean, you having to replace those the copper. But here's what is perhaps you can explain this to us. You are saying that the theft indicates an active attempt to destabilize the city's administration. Aren't you making a meal out of an issue that this thing is not? What if it's just thieves being thieves and stealing cable? Because you're suggesting here that there is some kind of conspiracy.
Well, Vuyo, I would have believed initially that it would have been just opportunistic thievery that was taking place. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at the substation and how people have been able to enter into the substations, how they've been able to strip the substation, you realize that this was not just opportunistic thievery that was taking place. These were people that knew exactly where you know, to go, how to enter into a particular space, and how to also begin to strip those particular, you know, substations. So we're not talking, you know, just about people digging holes in the middle of the road and you know, and extracting cables out of those. But we're talking about people that have been able to go into a substation and really literally just stripping a substation clean. And that cannot be done by somebody who doesn't know what is lying where. This is done by people who know exactly what it is that they're looking for and what is it and where it is lying. But another thing, Vuyo, in places like Lotus Gardens, I mean, you would look into an open field where you would expect that if some only myself. The mayor of Ekurhuleni is sitting with the same problem. The mayor of Johannesburg is sitting with the same problem. And this is why on Tuesday I will be convening a meeting between ourselves to ensure that we are able to then also take this this issue to the Premier and also to the Presidency and the relevant ministers to say we need to work together, because we see this as a very big problem that is also threatening to cripple the economy of our cities and indeed of the province. It is threatening also the livelihood, not only the livelihood but the actual lives of our people, because hospitals are actually affected, clinics are actually affected, and industries are actually affected in this.
Mayor, very, very briefly before I let you go, even though the Nelson Mandela Bay EFF motion hasn't succeeded yet, possibilities do exist in Johannesburg and in Tshwane. Are you having sleepless night over that particular matter?
Well, Vuyo, I'm not going to spend my time worrying about whether a motion of no confidence will be brought out against me or not. I think the most important thing that I'm spending my time on is to ensure that I put systems in place, I get people in place that will be able to do the job that needs to be done. But over and above that, we're ensuring that the systems that we're putting in place, whether the Msimanga is there or not, the system should be able to carry the city going forward in order for us to be able to deliver better services for our people, but also to ensure that this city of ours will be a city that will one day be proud to hand over to the next generation and the generations thereafter.
Mayor, thank you very much for talking to us this evening, the Mayor of the city of Tshwane, Mr. Msimanga.